The Prime Minister has arrived in New York this morning for high-level talks on the economy and climate change. Kevin Rudd is attending the United Nations General Assembly before heading to Pittsburgh for the G20 summit. The talks are hoped to map out the response of major economies as the global recession turns to recovery. While on climate change, the leaders will be trying to revive prospects of a global deal on cutting emissions at the Copenhagen summit in December. Sky News political editor David Spears is in New York and he filed this report just a short time ago.
The Prime Minister has expressed some concern on his arrival here in New York that some of the big decisions when it comes to a global deal on climate change could be left too late, and he wants to see some of the building blocks, concrete building blocks, put in place this week, both at the UN General Assembly and at the G20 summit that's happening in Pittsburgh. But one of the big sticking points when it comes to a global deal will be how much developed countries, wealthy countries, are prepared to give to developing countries to help them adapt to cleaner technology, greener technology, to cut their emissions. Now, Kevin Rudd's not putting any figures on what Australia's willing to offer, but he says this is going to be an important issue that must be dealt with now because the clock is ticking with 80 or so days to go before the Copenhagen summit.
That's why we do need to see another step along the road here at Pittsburgh and the possibility of G20 finance ministers being deployed again between Pittsburgh and Copenhagen.
On the economy, again, Kevin Rudd is hoping to use this week to start to see some global momentum towards recovery, to discuss where things are at. Australia, of course, has ridden this economic storm much better than the rest of the world. We've avoided recession, but what he'll be doing here in New York and in Pittsburgh this week is talking up the strength of the Australian economy, but also trying to get some coordination from different world leaders on how to make sure that the stimulus is eventually wound back and that the new economic world order isn't just a replica of the bad old days, as he calls them. There will be a bun fight over executive pay and financial regulation. Some European countries want caps, limits on executive pay. The US and Australia aren't going to go that far, but I think we will see a consensus that the stimulus that's been agreed to needs to be continued with a medium-term exit strategy and a greater focus on financial regulation.